Look at these biscuits. Nice sweets.
You're in the main seat here, buddy.
Oh,
You go here.
BC, the Prince, you're on the end.
One off.
Yes.
Do you want a sweet or a roll or a biscuit? Have what you
Oh,
want.
I'll have a
Hey,
coffee.
where's Phil? Where's Phil?
He's a bit on
God.
edge. He's a bit on edge. BC's here. He's here. He's here.
You're going to have to come in, Phil.
He's in. Come on, he's
Is he
in.
here yet?
Yeah, come
He's
on.
hiding from you, Brian.
Don't be shy. You're on in a minute. Which end do you want?
Oh, no.
Which end do you want to bowl at?
No, sir, how are you? No,
Left arm orthodox. So
I'm mentally scarred. Mentally
What,
scarred.
from Antigua?
Oh, Antigua. 375. Never broke sweat. Unbelievable.
How many overs did you bowl?
Oh, I bowled a few.
Who were captain? You're captain.
Atherton.
Right.
So when he said, Phil, come and have a ball, what did you say?
I tried to blend in with the sight screen. I put all that white stuff on my face. But I had to have a bowl. Nice to see you, mate.
nice to see you too.
Yeah, man.
I've bowled it. You haven't I?
Have you?
Yeah.
I was actually gonna wonder why were you here, sir? I mean, you look at these three guys you're hanging out with.
I'm old now.
He's boring. What did you say?
Yeah, I bowled him
You want a cup of
Where?
in 2004.
I'm good.
2004, West Indies versus MCC.
Wow.
Just before you guys played against him. And we were swapping ends.
What did you bowl?
I got a test wicket, don't forget about that. But Arundel,
Aaron, yeah.
and we had a decent bowling attack of Hogarth, Jones, Min Patel, but they're swapping ends. I bowled the first two balls of very poor off spin. He turns to Thorpe and he goes, "This bloke don't spin it." Three sixes later, thanks a lot. Done.
This bloke done.
I think he said that to probably most spinners,
Yeah, I did.
particularly English spinners, Phil.
Well, there you go. I've only been to Antigua twice, and that was to play against Brian in whenever it was. And then 2 years later, I went with a touring, like a host of a group of people, and I saw him. He got in total 775 for one.
Oh, thank you. Nice coffee.
700, 400
Lovely,
against. It was against you.
Well, is it you for 375?
Yeah.
I've captained him when he got 400.
Yeah.
And then against Durham, he got 501.
When that lad Chris Scott dropped him
Yeah.
and turned to first slip and said, "I bet he gets 100." He got 501.
You got bowled off a no ball as well in that game.
Bowled off a no ball, Cummings, and dropped straight behind. Yeah.
We're talking about, like, I dropped Karen Air on 200 when he was on 30. He got 300. That's 270, but the bloke who'd no balled him cost him 490.
It's a big one, that. It's a big one.
490.
It's a big
BC, how's your golf? Golf good?
Not bad. Playing off about 15.
Playing off 5 then.
He got 15.
I'm playing him this afternoon. I'm off 8, he's off 5.
You
That's
know when I
3
used
shots.
to live in Bramhall?
Yeah.
When I lived in Bramhall and I lived backing onto Bramhall Park, we'd see him and Yorkie would go past. And the other footballer, he plays at Bramhall Park, Clayton Blackmore.
Right.
Remember him, Clayton
Yeah,
Blackmore, midfielder. And so you'd see him play, go past our house, and which were very similar to at Royal Westmoreland in Barbados.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
What do you mean, Bramall and where does that start and end?
Well, it starts with cricketers because we had a place like a little combo just by the 18th where they come in at Royal Westmoreland. Me and my missus were there, and at 1:35 every day, Gary Sobers used to tee off 1:35, and so you'd sort of time it that he's coming down. That 18th, which is a dog leg, isn't it?
Yeah.
With Ian Woosnam's house.
Yeah.
He's just on that corner. Yeah. So I used to sit and watch him. So, I mean, my best three players of all time, in all the time I've been around cricket.
So Gary.
Him, Gary and Viv Richards. Them's the three West Indian icons.
Yeah.
Fantastic players.
Yeah.
And I mean, behind them, just a bit, Clive Lloyd. I played with Clive for years.
Yeah.
Fabulous player.
So Gary plays off. What's he playing?
Played off.
Played off, yeah.
Yeah,
Gary's
not
the
now,
Gary.
not now.
Yeah.
No,
Was he scratch?
Yeah,
Was he
scratch.
right?
Barbados
Could he
player.
play right and left-handed?
I heard so, but Barbados play for Barbados in the Homan Cup and other tournaments. It's very good golfer.
Why did you... Because you play golf, right?
Yeah, I started left-handed. It's a funny story. We were, Viv and Greenwich and And these guys would beg for me. I was only 19, 20, come play golf. I wanted to go into Bridgetown and check the girls out, do some shopping, that kind of thing. So I never really joined them. It was 94, we were playing against Leeward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago. And we could not see the pitch when we arrived the first morning. They just put out some stumps. It was all a green track. Trinidad had a group of young players, so they were all scared. 2 days later, the game was over. And in Montserrat, there's one flight a day. So the game started on Friday, finished on Saturday, but we had to leave on Tuesday. It was a 4-day game. So Simmons said, let's go play golf. I said, okay, nothing to do. It's 10,000 people and nothing to do in Montserrat. And I played golf left-handed. Crap. Had a birdie on the 18th.
What, first round?
First round, and then went back playing golf. Par 5, 18th hole, Montserrat. Played golf the next day. Got to Trinidad. Didn't have left-handed clubs, so I wanted to play golf again. Played right-handed. And then I just kept playing golf right-handed. Obviously, there was that saying when, it's roughly in 1994 it was. So that's the time when I broke out with the scores against your country. 375 was it?
375,
Yeah, a couple other scores as well.
Nicely played.
And they start talking about golf affected sobers. He played golf and it affected his game because he's left-handed and, he started to play across the line. I don't know anything. I never saw him play. So I just stuck to right-handed and that was my excuse. You say, well, it wouldn't affect my batting. So, yeah, that's how I played
Well, the
right-handed.
Burnley Lara, Jimmy Anderson, we call him the Burnley Lara.
Burnley Lara.
He bats left-handed and he plays golf right-handed
Yeah.
as well. So it must be something in the, you great
I
left-handed
actually
batters.
think that my swing, when I practice swing, and if I lose my swing right-handed, I practice left-handed, and I can feel it's a more natural way for me to swing the club. I just haven't changed.
Do you do like your trigger movement in your golf?
Can you imagine? Whip it back.
We actually made Jimmy bat left-handed in the net. Right-handed, because his golf's good.
Well, he must be better right-handed than left-handed.
Well, we thought he couldn't be much worse, but he because he's got a lovely golf swing, hasn't he?
Yes.
That proper. So we
It's
actually
high.
I think we had two nets with him right-handed, and he was worse.
We mentioned Yorkie. How is he? Dwight York. Where in the world is he?
It looks like if he's on a flight because there's only one tick on his phone. But Yorkie is in charge of the Trinidad and Tobago national team.
Right.
Obviously trying to get into the World Cup. And we have a great chance because the World Cup is being held in America, Mexico, and Canada.
Yeah.
So 3 of the top teams in our group qualified automatically. So we're now left with like Costa Rica, Jamaica, Panama. So it gives us a very
Where
good
is
chance.
he in the league now?
No, well, we are now moving into 3 groups of 4, 4 groups of 3, something like that. And the top team goes through. But we just got like a rude awakening in America. We got 5 playing in the Gold Cup. Got 5 from America, drew against Haiti. They had 10 men. And Saudi Arabia, who I think is just a guest of the CONCACAF, they drew with us 1-1. We were leading them. And a victory against them would have gotten us into the second rounds, which is about to start.
You assistant coach?
His? No.
No, you.
No, I wouldn't mind to be a part of it because I know a little bit about football, but
Who's your team in the Premier League?
My team in the Premier League, it has to be
Luton Town.
Arsenal.
Well, they're not there anymore. They're going to be.
No,
they'll be
I had a team called. I don't follow it that much anymore, but I had a team back in my village in my younger days called Santa Cruz Hotspurs. So Tottenham Hotspurs, Adiles.
Yeah.
Is it Huddle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my time. Adiles. and
They're a
Huddle.
good side.
He's a gooner.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Fierce rivals against the Tottenham.
You were good at football, weren't you?
Decent, yeah, decent enough. But
What
I
position?
didn't like to be up front, wing. I
Winger?
didn't like being tackled though.
No, I would say I didn't like being tackled.
What position were you? You
I
were.
think Roy Keane. You're just up down.
What? And you didn't like being tackled? And you're saying you're Roy Keane?
We're all right up to 15, 16, but then I got into cricket, so hang on a bit.
You played down the middle, did you?
I played with George Best.
Get out. Give over.
Tell me, I'll bring a picture in.
You sound like Farouk Engineer.
I'll bring a picture in. All right, I'll bring a
Who
picture.
were you playing for?
Summit Winders.
Something Winders?
Summit.
So it was a corporate. It was a corporate.
I'd forgotten the first.
No, I think we're in a league in Blackpool. Summit Winders. I'll bring a picture in. Me and George coming out at half time. It's piles of mud like that, just mud. Yeah. George, we were shit up to glory from top to bottom. And I said tactically, I said to the manager in the dressing room, I said, what tactics are we playing? What's the format? He said, well, if ever you get it, just give it to George.
Yeah, well, of course.
So I did, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
But I just see you walk out to bat, and your strike, it wasn't a Viv strike, so I could understand you did play football. You didn't have that, you know, you had that kind of flat foot.
When we played against Viv, I used to say, I wish I could just walk like that. Never mind bat like it.
Just show us that little one I did as well. Little pull.
Hey!
So I spent the first 5 days of my test career in the bathroom. Right?
Arguably, and you could talk about, they're the best team there's ever been.
He'd sort of pull himself up and sort of start going like that, and the music would be going. Dressed as Margaret Thatcher with a pair of pads and a bat in his hand.
How did you deal with pressure?
Pressure, I welcome pressure.
Have you still got the bat?
Yeah, that back.
And the 400?
Yeah, of course.
And the 500?
Yeah.
Who is it that you really like putting the licks on?
You know, who I don't feel sorry for was Andy Caddick.
Did you ever play Brian Lara cricket on the PlayStation?
It was always, wasn't it? Something like that. Got to get it up higher.
Why did he do that, Phil?
I don't know.
Brian, would Viv Richards have been like an idol to you when you were growing up?
Yeah, huge idol. You've had good experience with it, but it's great, you know, like in 75, 76 when they were playing in Australia. As a little kid, small house, 3-bedroom, and cricket started maybe about 8 p.m. in Trinidad, 8, 9 p.m. the Australian time, 15 hours ahead of Trinidad. And I could hear my dad's radio in the room. We had school the next day, so he allowed us to listen to the first session. And then we had to go to bed, and his bedroom is just at the top, and we can hear his radio, but we had ours on. So when his door cracked, you know, we all go into a little bit of a snore, you know, but we, you know, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, me and my 6 bigger brothers listening to cricket. And then obviously, fast forward, I got an opportunity to play with him. And my first test match was in Trinidad. And I got the letter from the board, you're on the team, report 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning for practice. And I got there at 8, start a little practice on the Queen's Park over with my brother. And then the team arrived, and this is all my heroes. Viv, Greenwich, Haynes, Malcolm Marshall, everybody, all the big boys. And they went into the dressing room, tiny dressing room back in those days, and I said to my brother, you know, time I go say hello to my teammates. And whilst walking into the dressing room, my cricket bag came flying out the dressing room. Everything just all over the place. I picked it up, packed it back, and I walked out into the dressing room. And where I placed my bag is where Sir Vivian placed his bag.
Oh, no.
So I spent the first 5 days of my test career in the bathroom. Right?
Is that right?
Crazy.
6 brothers?
Yeah, 6 brothers,
All
4
play?
sisters.
Yeah, one brother who was the starter at the golf course.
In Trinidad.
Charles?
Robert.
Robert.
Yeah,
In
Richard,
Trinidad.
yeah, they love golf.
Yeah, he was the starter, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's still there, he's still there.
6 brothers, 4 sisters?
Yeah, 11 of us. I batted at number 10.
You had to play well to get up
Yeah,
the
to
order.
get up the order.
My mother had 13 brothers and sisters. 13 of them.
Did she?
Yeah. Flip it. The Aspins. Don't mess with the Aspins in Accrington. Don't go anywhere near them. Got thousands of cousins who I don't know who they are.
Brian, do you know so in India we see like a lot of young players come through, and you kind of read about these scores that they get. Like Pujara's been working with us this week, and he got a 330 when he was 13 years of age. When you were a kid, were you getting huge numbers?
No. I mean, all cricket back in the day in school. I played at all levels. So I played when I was about Form 2, age 13. I played under 14, which was Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday was under 16. And I'm talking about 3 p.m. till 6. So 30 overs on one under 14s, 40 overs for the under 16s. And then Friday and Saturday, you start at about 2 p.m. all day Saturday, and that's the first 11, which is the under 19s. So at school, that was it. That was it. I mean, you hardly got a chance to, you know, you have to declare and stuff. So I had these big scores. My first big score actually was Trinidad and Tobago under 19s in Barbados, playing against Jamaica, getting 196. And then my first double was 277 in my whole,
You test.
Yeah, so I didn't have those big scores. Maybe in the streets, I batted for 5 days after school, but that's about it.
But what was the key? Did you feel you were always naturally gifted, or was it a lot of hard work as well?
Well, I think playing cricket with kids like my bigger brothers, in the streets fighting for a knock, and one of the reasons why I think I was very good at spin is because we'd take the flannel ball, the tennis ball, and they will chuck it into the pitch, so that would spin a mile. And so I learned to play spin a lot. In Barbados, they tape the ball and they go on the beach and they bowl it at 95 miles an hour. They can play good fast bowling. My ability to play spin was, and it's just that mentality of when you get a knock on the streets, you're not going to get one. If you get a knock on Monday evening, you're not going to get one until about Wednesday. So you really got to hang in there.
But when you say the streets,
well, on an evening. So I live on Mitchell Street, in Santa Cruz, and on there's going to be 15, 20 kids, in different families up and down both sides of the street. And we put a bare case as a wicket, or a piece of galvanized, like a roofing with a stick behind it, stumps up there, and there's 4 or 5 cricket balls, and they're throwing it down at you. And you dare not hit it in the neighbor's yard because you're going to be out. So you're there, sort of. Michael Artston would have done well just poking.
Were you always an attacking player then? Because if you only had one chance to bat with your 10 other brothers, and you thought, I ain't giving it away. But
no.
Every time I watched you bat, and lucky enough that one time to see you, and I have you right at the top of someone of the ability I've just never seen before. I was like, when I was 19, I was thinking, that is the best I've ever seen.
Did you model yourself on it?
Yeah. I modelled.
Well, he had a simple bat for a while. You were Gray Nichols for a while.
I was left-handed. About as much.
A good starting point.
But surely, you're only going to bat once, and you've got your 10 other brothers are going to bat above you. You think I'm just going to hang in there, but you never bat like that.
No, I hung in there. I think one of the things that helped my aggressive or attacking side of my game is I played one test match in 1990 in Pakistan, December. And my next test match was 1992, so that's almost 14, 15 months. But in between there was a World Cup and about 20 one-day games. We used to play the Benson Hedges in Australia. And you want to play in the team, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, batting and pushing in the gaps. And, the first time I hit a proper 6 was at the Gabba against Craig McDermott. I didn't know I could do it. I was actually literally playing international cricket when I did that. So I found a way now how to score quickly and to find gaps. I was good at finding gaps all the time in terms of playing in my backyard or in my garage with plant pots. So this would actually this could be a day. This could be a day when I was a kid. I'll be batting here, and this here, that'll be there, and I have to find these little gaps in between.
I'm just going to move my coffee cup a bit straight.
You need to put a few over here for you, Tuffers.
Yeah. What I remember about playing against Brian, it was you used to score in blocks of 10 or 15. You boys, lovely. But you go, boom, you think you're bowling all right. Next thing you look up, you've got 35. You go, 35? Where's that come from? And then you're bowling away. Okay, nice shot. You think, well, okay, it's got 70. Where's he got 70? So you're right, it just... Angus Fraser used to pull his hair out in that 35. Gussie, poor blimey, he was coming in, like that. And you just kept doing him through there, like that. And we had, I don't know who was at slip, but we had it, right, we're going to have him second slip, boom, a little bit finer. Right, okay, go back to first. Boom, went through. No, third. Put him at third. He must have done a mile in the slip.
When he got 375 against the team you were in, can you remember pre-match what the discussions of how to bowl to him were?
Top of off stump. We didn't really listen in those days anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't Gussie said I wanted to sledge him, but what's the point?
Well, absolutely. There was all that going on. It was great. We had gravy, and even
gravy in Antigua.
Was it Chicky's Disco?
Cisco and gravy.
Yeah, I think he
King
just
Dale.
Gravy.
King Dale.
He used to have like a platform.
Yeah, he did.
Like that, and hang on the. He was a fit, strong guy.
Yeah.
He'd sort of pull himself up and sort of start going like that, and the music would be going.
Dressed as Margaret Thatcher.
Dressed as Margaret Thatcher with a pair of pads and a bat in his house. and there was all like.
Occasionally got married. You know, he wears a wedding dress.
He had a few songs, didn't he?
The atmosphere. I mean, we sort of knew it was bloody coming as well.
Yeah. What's that song you used to sing?
Well, no, all the boys. We'd get into the coach on the way to the ground, and the bloke would be going, "Brian's going to get you today, Phil." You know, we'd be going, "All right, we shut him up, will you?" You know what I mean? And then, or you know, Curtly's going to get you. You know, you made songs up of the opposing team. It was brilliant. The atmosphere. And then when Brian, I can still remember, Chrissy Lewis bowled it, didn't he? And he's come back to me, I'm at mid-on. And he was, oh, fuck, we're knackered. We can't get him out. We're never going to get him out. We're never going to get him out. Like that. And so he said, what shall I do? You know, what shall I do? I said, listen, make him bump, you know. Don't just give him a little KO. Make him hit.
Was this for the record?
This was for the record, yeah. And Chrissy's gone up there and bang. And the place went mental. The game stopped for about 20 minutes, didn't it? Chicken sellers came on, everyone was dancing, Sir Garfield came out.
He did.
Yeah.
Were you coach?
No.
No, it was the most amazing
No.
20 minutes I think I've had in mid-cricket. I
down.
just sat down on the boundary edge and just everyone was running about. It was incredible.
Have you still got the bat?
Yeah, that bad.
And the 400?
Yeah, of course.
And the 500?
Yeah, it's there.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair. Of all those, so you faced a few English attacks. Is there one bowler that you kind of look back at facing thinking, yeah, I fancy... You've probably got 5 or 6, but is there one that you like hitting even more? Yeah.
Go on.
Who is it that you really like
Go
putting the licks on?
The top two.
Go on.
Putting the licks on is you know, who I don't feel sorry for was Andy Caddick.
What did I tell you? I told you. So when I'm coach, and we had that game at Jamaica, which is 60 balls and cancelled, so we're moving to Trinidad, so they put another game in Trinidad, put another one. So we play back-to-back in Trinidad. Yeah. And everybody does the media stuff, and our media interviewed Caddy. How are you going to, Brian Lara is a wonderful player, how are you going to deal with... I've studied him. And I'm watching this, I thought, what's coming here? I think I've got the ball for him. I've studied him. I thought, oh, for fuck's sake.
Go on, who else?
So,
sorry.
Played the test match.
Yeah.
Lunch.
Yeah.
Not out.
Yeah.
Opening up after, Caddy. 19 he went for. He kept whacking him straight back over his head, and I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. And then, so it finished, even Stephen after that, I think it were 1 each at Trinidad. And I've done the interview, and I'm a bit... I said, if our ballers had done the job, we'd have been 2 up.
Yeah, I can remember that.
I said, they've just not done the job.
Yeah. Gussie got 8 for dinner.
So they get Caddy then, they bring Caddy, our media, what they're like. So the coaches had a little pot. So can we speak to Andy Caddy? Your coach says that if you'd have done your job, well, he's a fucking prick. Oh dear.
So Caddy's on.
So Brian will probably remember that you put a do on at your house. You put a party on at your house in that Trinidad Test match, and he was mates. I don't think he's still mates with Atherton, but they played junior cricket together, Atherton and Brian. And he put this party on at the Test match, and we all rocked up there. And did the government give you a house or something?
No,
you were doing a house up.
Yeah,
you were doing a house up. You were doing it was brilliant. And we were staying at the hotel at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the
Hilton.
The Hilton.
Hilton, where...
The bar, the bar's in the Pelican.
The Pelican, that was it. Everybody were rocking in there. Like in the middle, you'd have been in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I certainly was. He was. The Pelican underneath, or next door to this Hilton.
Yeah.
And the Hilton were upside down, wasn't it? Your bedrooms were down below, underground or something.
Pelican Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good spot.
Come on,
Come on, let.
We want to know number 2.
I want to hear number 2.
So the guy who I didn't feel sorry for was Andy Kelly, because he felt like every time he played a good shot off for him, it's because he bowled a bad ball. And it's not because so every time I destroyed him, it was fine. But the guy who I really felt sorry for was the guy who he found the middle of my bat all the time. That was Matthew Hogarth. He just found the middle every day, in swing at the middle of my bat, out swing at the middle of my bat. So I used to feel sorry for him when Mikey put him on,
Old Hogster.
We looked, didn't we, at the scorecard the other day when you got 4-1. You bowled quite a lot in that.
I bowled 13 overs, yeah.
What
He
did
was
you-
actually out on naught, caught behind.
Did you hit it?
No, of course
God,
not.
what is-
DRS?
No.
DRS?
First of all, I walk when I hit it, right? So Michael heard a noise, and the rest of the England team heard a noise. I heard a noise as well, but you have to feel it on your bat. You don't just walk. And most batters don't walk anyway. I saw some guys edge balls the first slip and don't walk. So there was a sound, but there's no feel of the bat. Good delivery of Hammerson, pitch just outside leg stump, went across me, played, held my position, went back, everybody's gone up, and the umpire said not out. So,
Skipper?
No, I'd have gone up, yeah.
Straight away?
Oh, straight away.
Without
yeah,
asking?
they all did.
Yeah.
No, it was
they'd gone
DRS,
upstairs.
with DRS.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
DRS.
without question, yeah.
Yeah.
But you then did manage to stay out there for about 8 hours and destroy us. Yeah. When did you know? And in the first time when you broke the record, 375, was there a number you got to and you thought? Because I'll give you a clue. When you got to about 125 in Antigua, the bowlers were coming up to me going, he's on for the record here. I went, he's 250 behind. So we had a feeling that you had your eyes in, you had your kind of flow. When did you kind of get a feeling that the record could be broken?
I mean, you got to go back first of all to understand that I had 100 runs in 6 innings. We lost all 3 test matches, and I think I had a bulk of that 100 runs in Barbados. Yeah. I got about 30 and 230s, but I felt I was getting into a little bit of form, and obviously losing against England 4-0 in the Caribbean is something that you didn't want. So I think from Barbados coming into Antigua, and I was hesitant to bat first because obviously if you want to draw a test match, let them make as much as possible, save the follow-on and bat. But I saw the pitch and I was like, no way you're going to bowl first in this, So we batted, and I think when I got to 100 runs, I knew for a fact that we are going to go for a big total. Make sure that, we're not here to necessarily win the test match. We're here to make sure that we don't lose. And when I got to 100, and I realized that Hammerson, who was the most dangerous, he didn't want to bowl much, right? If you look at the stats, I think he's the only one who didn't go for 100, right? He came off at 96 or something like that. And
look at that.
No, I reckon he bowled. I reckon because we looked at how many overs. Trez bowled 18 overs, didn't he?
Trez.
But I'm going to ask, he did. He bowled 18 overs. I was looking yesterday. If I was batting on a flat wicket, you think, I'll cash in. I'll get 200. Try and get 200. The difference of that, I'm going to try and get 400. Where's that come from? Where's the 400 in your head coming from? I can't get I just can't get my head around that. 400.
Well, it's not the highest score ever made, but
No, but I'm saying, I don't. 200. You think that most, batters and things, but
yeah. But you really think I'm thinking about 400? No chance. I get 100.
Yeah, but you must have thought. I'm gonna try
You get 100, you get a double. You look at the bowling attack. You can tell the guys don't really want to turn up. Jones and Hogarth. Hogarth will bowl his life out, which is
Hoggy
great
bowled
for me.
18 overs.
Who?
Yeah, Hoggy did.
Hoggy bowled 18 overs.
Did he get injured?
I think he was smart. I think he probably did.
How much is Hammers?
Harmy bowled 37 overs.
For 90-something.
1 for 92.
Harmy bowled
And came off the
Flintoff bowled 35. Simon Jones bowled 29. Gareth Batty bowled 52.
Oh, yeah.
I bowled 13. Triscothic bowled at 18 overs.
What's he bowl?
Oh, little dobbers, yeah.
Everyone had a go.
So it must have, what, over 200 you think, yeah, it's on?
When did Hayden break the record before? And when he broke it, were you annoyed?
October. No, I wasn't annoyed. I was asleep. Jamaica, my agent lawyer called me, he's in London. He said, I have a number for you to call. I said, why? Because I think he did a lot in that day. So he might have went to sleep at 1 something, and then he scored a couple hundreds on that day. He said, I have a number for you to call the Perth dressing room. I said, why? He said, someone just broke your record. So I called the dressing room. It was very noisy, very loud, and I got to Matthew, congratulated him. But, funny enough, I felt that for that 10-year period, 9-year period, I had a lot of stress because of those 2 records. And one of my main things was to actually try to be a good captain or a good leader and not have that strangled me, that double world record. So I wasn't perturbed about it. I didn't worry too much about it. But here came England 10 years later. You know, so.
Did the captaincy? Did you like the captaincy? Did it affect your batting? I mean, we got
No. My batting is my scores are very similar.
Yeah.
I think it actually enhanced my batting. But I think my problem in my captaincy is sort of like man management. I believe that when I grew up, when you entered the West Indies team, you had to be a finished product. You know, I got in there at 19, 20. My team was full of, you know, great players. So to get in, to push that door down, you had to have done something very special, first-class cricket. And I think that, you know, when you look at it 10 years later, when I became captain, you expected the same from the young players. But these guys were coming in with averages in their 30s and 40s. They had maybe 1 or 2 good scores. They had the potential. They looked good. They got in the team. But they just weren't, you know, seasoned enough. And I felt that that's where I let my teammates down, to understand or have empathy with players that weren't at the level yet and taking them through the early stages because, you know, drop catches and, you know, not learning.
What about like the captains? Because obviously when we captained England, it's all, you know, there's not much politics in English cricket in terms of selection. You try and pick the best team you can. You don't get them always right, but captain the West Indies with the different islands.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you've got a selector from your island,
countries.
it is different countries. That must have been, behind the scenes, must have been quite awkward.
Yeah, it's very awkward, especially if you're not doing well. And you know, a lot of people from different islands have, you know, their own opinion. So that is very tough. If you're doing well, like, you know, Clive Lloyd or Sir Vivian Richards, who you never lost a series, you tend to have the entire Caribbean coming together. But the minute you lose, you know, there seems to be a problem.
How did you deal with pressure?
Pressure, I welcome pressure. Yeah, I think I had a period where, I mean, the lowest point in my career would have been after the 95 series in England, 96, 97. England came to the Caribbean in 98 when I first started as captain. I think 96, 97, handling that stardom, you know, of just being a cricketer one day and all of a sudden you've got 2 world records, you got everybody breathing down your throat. And the way I would handle it, I could do it differently, you know, if I had to do it again. That's mostly my most pressured period. I think I'd be more accommodating. I would appreciate a little bit more. I'd understand, you know, that when you're at the top of the tree, you create a lot of detractors. I couldn't understand why people were attacking me. So when you started attacking me, I started pulling back. And so that affected my cricket a little bit. I think I embraced it about 99. I was playing against Australia. We just came from South Africa, and we lost 5-0, 6-1 in the one days, 5-0 in the test series. And I was dead. I was done. I knew I was done. And they happened to give me the captaincy again for 2 test matches. And I'm not afraid to say it. The first test match was in Trinidad. And I believe that that's the reason why they gave me the captaincy. And the first time a West Indies captain was there on probation. Right? I got a team that I didn't want. We lost in Trinidad 51. We scored 51 on the 4th innings. And the Australian media was very sympathetic. The West Indian media, I wouldn't call any names, but they were ready. That's it, sharpening their knives. And I remember, and I'll call names now, I remember seeking Tony Cozier. And this is something I didn't do for about 3 years because I didn't understand why this man was attacking me. And I talked cricket with Tony Cozier. I said to him, you know, listen, forget our relationship. What is going on here with West Indies cricket? And he said, you have a terrible team. And all of a sudden I felt like if, you know, a few pounds came off my shoulder. Right. Guess who I ran to? Mikey Holden. I didn't speak to him for quite a long time. I said, Mikey. And even though we had that strange relationship, we talked West Indies cricket. And that, I think, was the watershed moment in my career. We went to Jamaica, my last test match as a captain, but I felt free. I felt like, you know, I wasn't carrying any burden from the past. And that's when things changed. I got a nice double over there. And yeah, we went
a nice double.
Yeah, no, it was a nice double, I might say. You know, I mean, a lot of people say that the 153 in Barbados was the best. I believe a week earlier, in Jamaica, under the pressure, walking out to toss, being booed, everything. I think that showed me how strong I was as an individual.
It's interesting that you know one of the greatest has ever been, and people are attacking. Why would you? That's jealousy, surely. That's
Well, we
jealous.
were going through a really tough period. And one of the things in Jamaica, that second test match, they were ready. I mean, when I walked out the toss with Steve Hoy, he said, well, what you did these people? I said, nothing, but this is the last time they're going to have a chance to do that. And you know, as a captain, you lost the toss, they're going to go to bat. As a captain, you take that 5 meters in front of your teammates and you take them on. I was scared because the Headley stand is right there, right? And you know, they used to sell Red Stripe, the bottled drink. So I was really scared. I was honestly scared.
Did it get that bad?
I mean, they were up in arms. And as I walked on past the rope, I felt an arm on my shoulder. Guess who it was?
Go on.
Courtney Walsh.
Oh.
The best thing, I mean, he being Jamaican, he's the guy who I replaced as captain.
Yes.
Put his hand around my shoulder and walked me onto the field.
Class.
Oh, wow.
Class.
That's the most
Oh,
magnanimous
class.
thing anybody's ever done.
Yeah, that's class.
You won that game.
Yeah, we won that game. We won that game in 4 days. And then we went to Barbados, and that was like, you know, that amazing test match where we won again.
How did it go with Warney? He's such an effect. Did you get on with him?
Oh, of course.
Brilliant.
We had a great time
Absolutely
together.
Brilliant. Really? Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Would
He's
he
a great
be
man.
one of the best you've
He
faced?
is the best. He is the best. And he's the best. And, you know, I'd walk out to bat against Murley,
Yeah.
and I'm confused. You know, I got that 688 runs in 3 matches, and the first half an hour of Murley, I'd be confused. I'd play a sweep shot down to deep, backward square for a single. You know, I'd play a sweep shot again, and then all of a sudden, you know, because it's the other guys didn't read him, he's like, oh, take out the bit. No, bat for Lara, nothing, let's move everybody out. And all of a sudden, the pressure came off. But Murley gave me more pressure than Shane. But I'd walk out to bat against Shane, and the ball be coming off the middle, every ball, and about 2 p.m., 3 p.m., he just produces this magical delivery or spell. And that's why I rate him higher, because I think he was mentally stronger.
Yeah.
And obviously with his bowling attack and the pitches that he bowled on, which favored, you know, the McGraths and McDermotts, and for him to pick up that amount of wickets, very, very special. I think his strength is his mental.
He got little fingers as well. His
Fact.
stubby little
Yeah.
fingers.
Sausage fingers, weren't they?
Yeah.
Strong.
An enormous wrist.
Yeah.
He'd a huge wrist. And you could hear him in practice that he'd let it go, and you'd hear that zzz as it's going down.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair. BC, I mean, on this show, we've got, obviously,
Sir.
a Sir
Yeah.
who got over 12,000 test runs. You've got a great left-hander who representing England. I batted a little bit for England as well. But our batting tutorial is Phil Tufnell.
Masterclass.
Now, he gets the bat. Go and get the bat, Phil.
Go get
Give
your
us,
bat.
go and give us a...
Come on,
Go on,
man.
come on. You've got to give us a little bit of a demo about Brian Lara's bat. And then, if it's all right, Brian, once he's given the demo, we'd love you to get a bat in your hand and give us a little bit of a tutorial on what batting is. Come on, Phil, there you go.
Well, I'm gonna do. Oh,
Yeah, we've got some stumps now.
Okay.
Cat, there's 2 things, Cat.
I used to go like this. I used to go like that behind.
There's 2 things.
Yes.
You've got to get the stance and the back lift.
The
and
back lift.
one of his favourite shots was the sweep.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to go for that one.
All right, okay.
Right, over to you, Phil.
Okay,
Brian
then.
Lara, batting.
Brian Lara, okay. Iconic back lift, and there was always a little jump. There was always a little
jump
jump.
for the three, jump for a cross.
Yeah, light on his feet, as you say. It was always, wasn't it? Something like that. There was the little jump, and then it was the, like
Well,
that.
Phil, I noticed that the bat lift, the toe of the bat's
Gotta
pointing
get it
towards
up,
the sky.
gotta get it up higher.
Why did he do that, Phil?
I don't know.
Brian, can you show us?
There you go.
Let's have
this is
Brian.
Go on,
my one.
do it again. Slow
This is
motion. Cat.
slow-mo.
Slow motion.
Back.
Yeah.
There, cocking the wrist.
Cock the
Yes.
wrist.
Cock the wrist, ready to fire.
Leg up.
Little jump like that, but all at the same time, and then they'd.
That's lovely, that. Yeah. Oh,
Oh, and then the flag, yeah, that's
Right.
brilliant. Now, Brian, can we have you in your stance, and can you talk us through? Well, the key to the way that you played and that bat lift and your movement.
Well, I'll get to the back lift a little later on, because I wouldn't do all of that if I was facing spin. I wouldn't do all of that if I was facing Triscotic. It's too slow, right? So I think this action here had to do with a lot with the pace of the bowler. Someone's bowling, you know, when I faced the late Malcolm Marshall or Joel Garner, you know, I wasn't one of those guys very passive in my crease and allow everything to happen. I needed to get my movements have to be in sync with what's happening, with the pace of the ball. The guy's coming in, Brett Lee's coming in, I'm patting here and patting here, and I'm like, you know. But the most important thing, that's secondary. My left toe is on off stump. My left eye is on off stump, so I know where that is, and from there, everything just comes into play. That's me. It's not about this or getting speed from it. It was just so my body movement was very important. You know, and then again, I tell you, I'd face pace, and my first movement pace is here, back and across, or you jump. I can't jump. My knees are bad. So I jump in a position here. Yeah. But again, spin, it's here. You know, and from here I can get back and cut. I can sweep. I can chip in and drive and stuff like that.
You know, and your bat lift changes to spin.
Yeah, it doesn't get anywhere near there. It's like it's here. I'm batting spin. This is me at 56. And that's the most it's going to get. It's not going to get up here.
You know, like the modern player. Actually, I might.
Alistair, come on.
No, but I just wonder. You know, like Harry Brook and like the modern player now, they stand like that, don't they? The bat is pointing up. You just watching. I haven't really thought about it. But so Harry Brook and Zach Crawley and quite a few players like that, and it's a deliberate thing. Is that to get more bat speed? But actually, looking at how you triggered, you were naturally in that position. Yeah. Was that deliberate? Was that a deliberate thing to get the bat facing there?
No, that was something. That was something as a kid. Yeah, that's something as a kid. That's playing street cricket, and I developed that, and no one took it out of me. No one said it. You know, I heard people saying that, you know, is he going to get the bat down in time? My problem with batting sometimes was that I took my bat to gully, or took my hands to gully, which was a bit of a problem, you know. And then I'd do like this. When I start going like this, I have a little bit of a problem. So sometimes when I was practicing...
Why is that a problem?
Because the bat's coming from gully, and you have a guy who is pitching the ball and leg stump going across you. You got to get your bat in here, whereas the ball is going there. Or guys coming and swinging in. If it's swinging into a pad, it's pretty easy. But that picking up with this pad is a problem. So sometimes I'd go to practice, and I'd be like this. You know, put a stump in the grass, and I'd be just like trying to play as much as possible, getting my bat here and getting in this way. Yeah.
So you go back in that stance again.
I'll
so
get
for
out
any
of the way
young kid that's watching, you're trying to keep your hands close to your body.
So if I move it out, it's going to hit the stump.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to hit this table. So I used to pick up the bat, practice in, maybe even just left-handed, and try not to hit the stump. The minute I hit the stump, you know, it means that my hand's going out that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just show us that little one I did as well, Brian. Just show us the little one.
Little pull. Hey! That's marvellous. Oh, that's gold. And what about...
I want that side by side now.
Man, I don't know how much you saw of Ben Duckett's 149.
Oh, he's a player.
Playing those reverse sweeps.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever play a reverse sweep?
No, I couldn't. I had never tried.
If you were starting now, would you bring it into your game?
I suppose. I mean, like, I spoke to Michael Vaughan a long time ago. I think his son must be a big man now. Yeah. He said, I can't get my son to stop playing across the line. Because I have a little boy in Australia, and that's all he wants to do, smack the ball and do all the fancy stuff. So to say that I think I'm, first of all, happy in the period that I played. Played a lot of test matches. Of course, everybody would like to be in the T20 with, you know, all the funds that's involved. But
IPL, yeah.
Not funds, fund with the D. They would like to be involved, but at the end of the day, I think I had enough shots to survive. I look at guys like Virat Kohli and they don't do much of that. So I feel I would have been one of those players who would have kept, you know, instead of the reverse sweep over third man, hit him over extra cover kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, one of the best players of spin ever, and I think, you know, Duckett, his way of countering today's ball in the rough was the reverse sweep. And
It's like a forward defensive.
It wasn't. You would have definitely used your feet more in terms of going at him or coming back and away and going through extra cover with a straighter bat. And it's just, you know, you can play different ways. I mean, I remember watching that in that one game I was lucky enough to play against it. Min Patel was bowling, you know, and a decent spinner. Like, you know, he's probably got 700 wickets. I've just never seen someone just manipulate the field. I'd never seen it before, and it was just incredible art. you know, as a batsman, I could never manipulate the field. I just used to play the ball and watch it. But watching someone like a genius do it against spin was incredible.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair. Where are we at with West Indies cricket, Brian?
Well, I think, you know, we have a lot of guys who are they're deciding on what they want to do with their career. So you have the aggressive players like the Purans who just retired at age 29, 30. I think it's pretty transparent why you would retire, because there's 5 or 6 leagues around the world and you're picking up quite a large sum of money with those leagues. So yes, and I have no problem with that, right? I mean, I don't think the West Indies Cricket Board and administration has done anything to keep guys loyal to the West Indies cricket, like say England has done or Australia has done, and I mean India, you know, is doing. So our guys have to go out, and when you see guys like Kane Williamson and South Africans doing the same, you realize that this is where these guys gonna, you know, look after their families. So in terms of West Indies cricket, we have that issue. I think now where we played first-class cricket and some of us even played county cricket to try to get into the West Indies team, we are now using the West Indies team as a stepping stone, you know, as a stage for us to get, you know, contracts around. And that is not a fault of the player. No. You know, that's a fault of...
But, you know, the big three, that can't be right, that they take all the money.
The pie has
England,
to be split
Australia,
more
India take
evenly.
all the money. They get the big broadcast deals. You've got to have a more even distribution to allow West Indies, New Zealand, Sri Lanka to compete.
Oh, it's just so sad. Nicholas Pooran's a wonderful player.
Yeah.
To think that he's not going to play for the West Indies, it's at that age, that can't be right.
What the governing body should be doing is an infrastructure, in particularly like the West Indies, of facilities. They've got to provide them.
Yeah.
To make it an attractive game, to get into, remunerative as well, that it's well paid, and then you've got your other stuff like your franchise. You can go along.
Well,
with,
world cricket needs.
Of course they do,
and they need a competitive West Indies. They do. Otherwise, and I think
they're the best team. In the '80s team would be arguably, and you could talk about they're the best team there's ever been. 4 rapid fast bowlers, a batting lineup like you've never seen. A lot of them were magnificent players with a battery of fast bowlers. And think of all the quicks who couldn't get in, who didn't get in the team. Yeah. Somebody like Colin Croft, who had a great career.
Played for Middlesex, played with
Wayne Daniels, Sylvester Clarke, Ezra Mosley.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, they were rapid, them guys. Sylvester Clarke.
Oh, terrifying.
Rapid.
But it's, I don't know, I'm starting to be corrected, but I understood that back in the days of the 70s and 80s when we were the best. Yeah. I knew for a fact every other year we were in Australia. Every 2 years we were in England or England, the Caribbean. Yeah. And I understood that back in those days, the fees paid to the West Indies were, you know, relatively were quite handsome. So to go to Australia, you know, West Indies would get, you know, back in the day, whatever, a few $1 million. Australia would come to the West Indies and they would pay their players and they would ask, no, we've got 10,000 people in the stadium, you've got to charge, you know, $3 for people to go. So we couldn't pay them. But they were happy to come to us, handle that bill, as long as we come back to Benson Hedges or we come back for Frank Worrell Trophy series. And that was stopped in the late 90s, where ICC said that each country is going to receive the same amount of money for traveling to wherever. So what West Indies was collecting from Australia, right, and not playing Australia when they came, that all changed. So we will get, you know, call it $100 to you know, a test match in Australia, $500. And when Australia comes, we got to give them the same. But we don't have the gates, we don't have the TV rights. So that's where we started to lose, you know, that financial position.
Is the love still there in the Caribbean? I mean, you mentioned your school days playing cricket. Is it still the same in terms of young kids want to play the game of cricket?
Yes, there's more distractions, obviously. There's a lot more distractions. Back in my day, it was football, cricket, a little bit of athletics, but now there's everything. And the big killer, you know, is this, you know, you've got a lot of kids who concentrate on their phones and their computers and spend time on TikTok and all these stuff. So we're losing quite a few. And it was always going to be diluted with the extra sport and the American influence. But I still believe that with with only 1,000 Test cricketers, or less, much less than 1,000, 1,000 West Indian cricketers in 100 years, you don't need a big pool. You just need the talented pool. And you can find it. Go find it. You don't need hundreds of thousands playing cricket. You just need a few playing cricket, look at them, concentrate on them, and provide them with the best. And that's what we're not doing.
You need finance to do that, to get the best people. You know, they've had some wonderful bowlers, batters. Are they involved in West Indies cricket? I know Curtly Ambrose was coached for a little while and then jettisoned. He's out. Wow. He seemed a bloody decent fella to me, Curtly Ambrose, a wonderful bowler. So you need the best people to identify the best talent. Yeah. But you need finance. You've got to pay them properly. And facilities. Improve facilities. Make it attractive for young people, men and women, to go and play at these facilities. So it all comes down to finance from the governing body.
Yeah, spot on. Has anyone around us four been to a Brian Lara party at his house?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Phil, have you been to one? Alastair?
I haven't yet. I haven't yet.
So your house is used, it's the Trini Carnival, isn't it?
It's Carnival. So for the last, let me get to the point. The last 2000, my house was finished in about 98.
Yeah.
And there's no rooms in my house named Angus Fraser or Caddick. I get that. There's none there, right? There's none there. But yeah, I do have a nice event on the Sunday before Carnival, Monday and Tuesday.
Bit of soca.
Yeah, the soca. We have, you might not have turned up, but a lot of celebrities.
You must have turned up.
You'd have been
Listen, just tell me what you charge, and I'll get you there.
What about, he was an underestimated player, Carl Hooper.
Oh,
good bloody good cricketer, him, Carl Hooper.
Another great player of spin.
Do you remember that delivery? Do you remember? I can't remember where Nasser and Carl Hooper bowling off spin. It bounced and rolled all along the floor. Hit Nasser on the top.
It did.
Atherton's captain, you know. And we've come back, and I'm sort of sat on the balcony there, and others, and he's got a bit of a chuckle on. Nasser's come in. He's thrown this, he's kicked that, he's swearing and shouting. He just calms down and comes and sits with us. I think Alice said to him, should have played forward.
Listen, also as well, he then later found out it was the 7th ball of the over.
It was. It was. Yeah.
Is that right?
So the umpire, was he called Nichols?
Yeah,
Eddie Nichols.
Yeah, little
Eddie Nichols.
Yeah. Used to get that one out.
Yeah. So just imagine telling Nas that, and it's 7th ball now.
Great. It was fabulous atmosphere when I played in the West Indies.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Great place. Right, we'll finish with some community questions. Right, Brian. First one's at you. Did you ever play Brian Lara cricket on the PlayStation?
I've played it every time they launch a new version of the game, and they bring this young kid who just destroys me.
Oh. What was your highest score on the PlayStation? Did
Not
you beat
much.
your record?
Not much. No.
No?
Not much.
No. Okay. Let's go to the next one. What annoys you most? Well, all around the table. What annoys us most about the modern game?
That playing for your country isn't the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the.
I second that. I think finding a way to bring that back would be.
But and I don't blame. It's not a blame of the players or anything. I just think there's got to be a way of keeping the international cricket
money.
Well, yeah, and whether you've got to tax whatever to.
I think that the thing that annoys me most about the game is the pie's not split right.
Yeah.
There's so much money that the ICC.
Seriously,
that is my biggest frustration. If we want to get to a stage, and it might be 2 tiers of cricket. The only way that's going to be fair is if the pies. But I'm not saying it has to be exactly the same. But the likes of the West Indies, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, they've got to get more of the pie. So you can pay your players a nicer sum of money that they will stay playing for their country for longer. That's my biggest bugbear.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, right. Let's go. Just an easy one for us. We all tour, but in England, what would be your favourite thing to eat when you were on tour?
In England?
Yeah.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips? Mushy peas?
Not necessarily. It's late at night, you know.
Yeah. You like your mushy peas?
Well, no. In the corn soup, Trinidad corn soup, a little bit of jerk down at the Pelican Bar. Little fella outside with the big thing going, lovely that one. Oh, rice and pea.
All right, we'll finish with this one. Brian, the toughest team that you ever played? Not your toughest bowler. Who was the best team that you ever played?
Australia, by far.
And
I mean, 95.
Steve Waugh captain?
Yeah. 95, that defeat in the West Indies for the first time in 15 years. And from then, unable to turn things around. So they're the toughest, but also brought out the best in me.
Brian, it's been a pleasure.
Can
We just, can you give us a out of 10 for our expert tutorialist about batting?
Because it's got legs, as
It's got legs.
We're doing it every week.
Every
We're doing
week.
a tutorial every
Be
week.
kind, BC. Be kind.
What I must say, he looked walking to the wicket. He looked a lot more confident then than when Ambrose had the ball. He literally walk out to bat like that. He said, "Brian, they couldn't do it. I'm not gonna do it."
Brian, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, very well.